Assam. One of those places where nature still feels larger than life. From endless tea gardens and dense rainforests to mighty rivers that shape entire landscapes, this corner of Northeast India protects some of the country's most remarkable wildlife. Animals that have disappeared from many places still survive here. Some of them are found nowhere else in India. And that was exactly what brought me to Assam. Not just to explore its forests, but to witness a few of these incredible species with my own eyes. The Indian One-Horned Rhinoceros, India's only ape, and a black shadow hidden somewhere in the forests of Manas. 3 species, 3 destinations, 1 wildlife expedition. And the first chapter of that journey begins in Kaziranga. There was a time when seeing an Indian one-horned rhinoceros in the wild was almost impossible. Just over 100 years ago, hunting and habitat loss had pushed this incredible animal to the edge of extinction. By the early 1900s, fewer than 200 rhinos were left in the wild. Now imagine this. Today, there are more than 4,000 Indian one-horned rhinoceroses, and nearly 3 out of every 4 live right here in Assam. That's exactly why my wildlife expedition had to begin in Kaziranga. The journey started with a flight to Guwahati. Even before reaching the forest, Assam welcomed us with its culture. At the airport, I came across the beautiful Mukha Shilpa masks from Majuli. Handmade using bamboo, clay, and even cow dung, they were a reminder that nature and culture have always existed together here. As we left the city behind, the landscape slowly started changing. Endless tea gardens gave way to wetlands, open grasslands, and forests. And then, before the safari had even started, there it was, my very first Indian one-horned rhinoceros.
So our first rhino of Kaziranga.
No dramatic chase, no suspense. Just standing beside the road, completely unbothered. Almost as if Kaziranga was quietly welcoming us. That evening, we entered the central range for our first safari. Within minutes, I realized this wasn't like the forests I usually visit. Instead of dense jungle, there were endless grasslands stretching in every direction. Tall elephant grass, wetlands, and open floodplains. At first, it almost felt empty, but then the jungle slowly started revealing itself. A swamp deer disappeared into the grass. A black-necked stork stood silently in the wetlands. A golden tiger moving through the grass. Jungle fowl called from the trees. Elephants appeared in the distance. Wild water buffalo stood quietly in the marshes. And then a rhino. Then another and another. The first rhino felt special, the 5th felt unbelievable. Somewhere after the 10th, I simply stopped counting. Standing this close to a rhino, the first thing that caught my attention wasn't even the horn, it was the skin. From a distance, it almost looks like armor, like something from another era. But those heavy folds are simply thick skin, helping protect the rhino as it moves through tall grass and during fights with other rhinos. Watching an animal this massive sprint across the grass changes the way you look at it forever. By the end of that first safari, I had seen more rhinos than I ever imagined. But instead of answering my questions, Kaziranga gave me a new one. The answer started revealing itself the next morning. On our way towards the Budhapahar range, we heard that a female hulog gibbon had been spotted near the roadside.
So we saw here, वहाँ पे log one first time in my life, female. Wow. Last time we tried किया था वो मिली नहीं थी, but this time amazing sighting. थोड़ा against the light था, but still we got the Storks. Hopefully अभी बहुत कुछ बाकी है, अभी सफारी बाकी start होना बाकी है, and we are heading towards the gate.
It was my first ever sighting of India's only ape. Just a few seconds through the trees, but enough to make me want more. I knew we'd be meeting this species again. Before entering the park, we stopped for breakfast.
So we are having breakfast here before safari. It's almost 7:50. और देखते हैं फिर क्या है खाने के लिए. क्या है खाने के लिए?
पूरी सब्जी, पूरी
इडली भी है?
ये इडली का सांभर है.
इडली का सांभर.
And while Assam is famous for its wildlife, it's also famous for something with a very different reputation.
भूत जलोकिया.
Wood jolokia, world's
World's
hottest
hottest
chili.
world hottest chili है.
Naturally,
बहुत ही
world's hottest
तीखा है.
naturally grown chili.
बहुत ही तीखा है. एक मिनट. तो ये चटनी खाने के बोल रहे थे टोपी भाई, बोल रहे बहुत स्वीट, बहुत स्वीट. और देखते हैं क्या होता है खा के. खिलाने वाले हैं लोग.
Jolokia का chili.
ये है भूत जलोकिया.
Let's just say it definitely lived up to the hype. After breakfast, we continued deeper into Budhapahar, and that's when the mighty Brahmaputra came into view. Standing beside it on a calm morning, it's hard to believe this peaceful river completely transforms Kaziranga every single year. During the monsoon, the river floods these grasslands. Roads disappear. Large parts of the park go underwater. At first, it sounds destructive, but that's exactly how this ecosystem survives. The floods spread fresh nutrients across the land. The grass grows back. The wetlands are renewed. And all of it supports an incredible amount of wildlife. That's when everything finally made sense. Rhinos aren't here because Kaziranga protects rhinos. They're here because Kaziranga protects an entire ecosystem. The more safaris we did, the more obvious that became. The western and eastern ranges looked different, but the feeling was always the same. Rhinos grazing peacefully in the rain. Mothers walking with their calves. Elephants feeding through the grasslands, wild water buffalo standing in the wetlands. Every safari reminded me that Kaziranga is much more than a place famous for rhinos. It's a landscape where every species depends on another. And I witnessed the big five of Kaziranga. By the end of the trip, I wasn't looking only for rhinos anymore. I had started noticing everything else. The birds, the wetlands, the grasslands, the river, the small moments between the big sightings. When I came to Kaziranga, I thought I was traveling to see one animal. Instead, I witnessed one of the greatest conservation success stories in the world. Just over 100 years ago, fewer than 200 Indian One-Horned Rhinoceroses remained. A few days later, I had stopped counting them. And I think that's the greatest story Kaziranga has to tell. But this expedition across Assam wasn't over yet, because somewhere beyond these grasslands, hidden inside the rainforests of Holongapur, waited another remarkable species, India's only ape. And that story was just beginning.